Do these cat ears give me some mad swag? Well, I hope so because that's what we're going to be talking about with this new music review. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your boy, Matt Diazable, coming at you with some new music reviews. Always, thank you for coming on by, coming back. If you're new, thank you for discovering me. Like, subscribe, and comment if you're feeling these reviews or anything. But yeah, today I'm checking out one of the biggest stars in probably the whole world of not before and now. He's got a lot of clout to him, but I'm checking out the latest Justin Bieber album called Swag. I'm sure if you know who Justin Bieber is, which a lot of people do know, whether you are a fan or not, he doesn't really need an introduction, but just in case, he is a mega pop star of the 2010s, the 2020s. He's been doing a lot of things for the past couple decades and everything. He had his he's from Canada, to be precise, Stanford, Canada, from what I could tell. He got his career started off in like when he was like probably like 10, 11. Been just going at it since then. I think he got his big break with the song Baby, which everyone knows. I think he made that. It was his first single back in like 2013. That's when he really blew up. And he's just had a lot of growth as an artist, I would say he's got icon status in terms of the pop culture and overall world celebrity status. He's up there. Everyone knows who he is. And that's probably why you clicked on this. But yeah, with his latest album, it's kind of interesting. He's going in a different direction than he normally does, and I was kind of thrown off by that, especially with the album being called Swag. Thought it'd be something else, but we got something in a completely different direction, I think. And with this latest album, Swag, it seems like Justin Bieber is switching out his polished pop sensibility and spectacle and kind of going more with like a very lo-fi, very stripped down, very vulnerable style of music here. But the results in the end, they kind of feel a little bit more confusing than, compelling. Clocking in at over 20 tracks. That is correct. You heard it. It is a 20-track long record, and it's a very sprawling, stripped down, experimental take from Justin Bieber here, looking to be a little bit more emotional and have a little bit more artistic freedom, I think. Yet, unfortunately, this album kind of lands usually with most of these tracks somewhere between, an unfinished demo to a very like misfired of a mixtape kind of energy. It's a little bit all over the place. And when he starts this album off with the song All I Can Take, Justin is kind of switching up his vocal style here a little bit, or, maybe he's aged a little bit because he has a bit more of a huskier, lower vocal tone here. And those vocal performances are layered over some 80s inspired synth slash 90s R&B style beats. And something about this opening track here, which is something that is constantly plaguing this album, is that the production is kind of interesting. There's something there that piques your interest, that makes you want to listen to it, but it never really builds into anything. It just stays consistently just in this I won't say safe, but just too familiar zone. There's no real climax. There's no real dip. It's just going, 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 going. Song is over. And there's definitely a clear sign from Justin, his team, everyone involved in this that, he wants to pull things back a little bit, let that rawness really show here and explore some more soulful vocal tones and just overall soulful, meaningful songs in a way, which in a funny way at times kind of leans into a more like a scratchier, huskier version of like Michael Jackson in terms of his delivery. But this restraint kind of comes off as like him playing it a little bit too safe and too close to his chest than actually being like intentionally minimalistic for what he was probably shooting for. Then you have songs like Daisy and Yukon where things get a little bit weird, and I'm always down for some weird stuff, experimentation. That's always good. A for effort for sure, but things don't just always go in a good way on these particular tracks and the weird aspects of his music. Like the guitar work that he has on these tracks feel a little bit off kilter a little bit. The timing just feels a little bit off. And maybe it's him trying to show, that vulnerability he wants here, but it just comes off more than anything, just really poor execution. Like I said, really demo stuff that just needed maybe a couple more run throughs to get some really good potential work out of it. And then on the other song, Yukon here, you have, some guest vocalist feature here that, breathes some life into a lot of what's been missing from, I think, a lot of these songs and this project as a whole. And also, unfortunately, shows Justin Bieber in a smaller and not good role here. It's almost like he's a guest on his own song and his own album a lot of the time. So it's a bit of a misstep there, I think. But I won't say that, this album Swag doesn't have glimmers of clarity and some decent like songs here and there. I would say the song Things You Do is possibly the most stripped down um, and kind of like the most aesthetically and sonically pleasing song that, Justin was kind of chasing with this album. The overall vibes and just the simpleness of the song really get executed well here. It's simple, it's warm, and lyrically, it's very open ended. So it really understates everything in the right ways. And I would say a couple other songs that really hit that emotional target that I think Justin was shooting for is the songs Devotion and Too Long. Here you get some more intentional production that just sounds really well produced and more genuine connection through his vocal delivery. Here, for sure, the intimacy feels very, very, very earned. Like you really have got to these songs, and you're like, oh, this sounds really good. But unfortunately, these moments are very few and far between on this record. Because you have songs like Go Baby, First Place, and Daddy's Love that feel very underdeveloped and are stuck in a loop of ideas that just don't really evolve into anything else. Like I said earlier, it's just that it's going, it's going, it's going, and it ends. There's nothing more to it. There's no climax. And then you have the song Sweet Spot featuring Sexy Red, a very controversial figure in the music and rap space and everything. And it's probably this particular song one of the most jarring tracks on this record because it's a very sexually explicit song lyrically, and it just feels really awkward on an album which has a lot of sentimental and kind of almost family oriented songs at times. So it just feels so like, why is this here? It's really hard to go from like one song on here that's about, tender love and, your love for your child to then when you're talking about coochie popping in one of the next songs. So it just really throws off the whole flow of the album. And then when it comes to production on this album, it leans really into the, like that lo-fi demo style aesthetic, which, I see what he's trying to do. I see what the production team is trying to do, but it unironically feels very unfinished, and that's like not very good. It shouldn't be that intentional like that, because you have songs like Zuma's House and Glory Voice Memo, which kind of either sound kind of like a voice memo or are actually, I think a legitimate recorded in iPhone's voice memo apps, and it's not very charming and not kind of like what they want it to be. It's like very supposed to be intimate, very vulnerable, but it just comes off very, like I said, been saying, unfinished and just too raw in a bad way. So by the time we reach the song Standing on Business and 405, it's hard to believe whether, Bieber lost interest like midway through this project. And it's really funny on the song Standing on Business, he's trying to be like, yo, I'm here to make music. I'm here to, be about my business and everything. But he sounds so lackluster. And then you have some skits and some loose interludes throughout this album, like on Soulful and Therapy Session, which, they're trying to be, thoughtful and, part of a very concept style of the album. But overall, they just come in as, they just feel like filler. And then you have the title track here, Swag, which surprisingly has the most swag and probably one of the most strongest songs on this record. Justin's rapid fire vocal delivery here, meshing up with like the very minimal beat and everything, gives the song a weird and cool mystique feel to it that I feel like a lot of the songs on here are missing that fire, that, that mysticism there. They're just too raw and just so like, this is the song we made. While this song right here, it's just kind of like, there's something else to it and it makes it more interesting. It draws you in. In the end, I would say Swag feels more like, a sketchbook than an actual statement from Bieber. I feel like it really, really wants to be intimate, raw, and expressive, but it just ends up just feeling very murky, uneven, and just emotionally disconnecting. Like, it's not his best work, I think. That being said, I don't think this album isn't full of duds. There are some really warm and, nice moments on here, and one of the strongest things still is, Justin Bieber's vocals. He's still got the vocal chops to, do his style of music, whether it be pop style music or a little bit pullback stuff. he has some good vocals to him still. Unfortunately, across 21 tracks, it just feels like we're listening to a bunch of voice memo recordings slash demos that were, needed a couple more rounds of people talking about it, him thinking over. It just feels like too raw. Like, all right, this is one and done. Let's leave it and let it be, when it should probably need to be worked on a couple more times. And so all these songs never really feel like they become a real song. Outside of maybe 2 or 3 tracks, most of them, they just need more work to them. So I would say this latest album from Justin Bieber, Swag, okay to decent, 6.6 out of 5. Yeah, 6 out of 5, no, 6 out of 10. Thanks for coming on by. I'm Matt from Diazable. Tell me your favorite Justin Bieber song, albums, some other stuff I should check out from, or other artists that sound similar to him. I'm down for that. Like always, I will see you in the pit.